Hello everybody and welcome back to the United Stand and happy Friday. It is Beth here to give you all your latest Manchester United news and transfer news on this lovely Friday morning. And the reason I'm smiling is because Manchester United are back in action on Sunday. It's been too long. I mean, one of my friends who is a Man City fan, they do exist somehow, sent me a tweet before and it was like, Manchester United fans thought it was the international break. And I thought, how did you do in Madrid? How did you do in Madrid? I was having that back and forth with him. But football is back. A huge six-pointer at Old Trafford to look forward to on Sunday. But before then, we've got all the latest Manchester United news and transfer news to get into. And there's a lot coming out this morning. It is never a quiet day in Manchester United. We have Fabrizio Romano giving a huge update on the Elliot Anderson situation. Is it over? Will he be going to Man City? He's given an update on that and it could depend massively on the manager situation. And the reason we've gone too slow is the thumbnail of the video because Manchester United might be too slow. When clubs are pitching to players now, Manchester United still don't know who the manager's going to be. Apparently, we haven't actually made the midfield shortlist yet, according to Fabrizio Romano. We've got players, but we've not tallied it up and who's going to be the top option. And we've not started to make them direct contacts yet because we've not got the manager in place. So could Manchester United be too slow on trying to get the new manager in, that targets fall behind, transfers fall behind, and other clubs get to them first? We will discuss it, we will talk about it. Also, some news coming out of Italy about two potential players that Manchester United could go for in the summer to look at replacing players who might have big injury concerns. We also have an injury update on Mount and Lisandro Martínez. We have some interesting quotes coming out from Bryan Mbeumo. We've got loads to get into. I also want to talk about the manager situation a little bit more as well. And we've got yet more news on the left-back situation, the right-back situation, and the midfield situation at Manchester United. Also, Camavinga. Would you take Camavinga? I'm going to run a poll right now, actually. Camavinga from Real Madrid. I know he's had some injury concerns, but apparently Real Madrid are open to selling. He's always had them links to Manchester United. Would you go for Camavinga as one of the midfielders that Manchester United go for in the summer? I'm going to run that poll now. Get voting in it. Get voting. Also, some news from The Athletic that Manchester United will go for two midfielders, not three. A lot of us want three. I think any Manchester United fan wants three. But according to The Athletic, it looks like Manchester United are going to buy two and then get a third one in through Carrington and try and nurture the academy player to come through as the third midfielder coming up through the ranks that Manchester United need going into next season with hopefully Champions League football. But welcome everybody, welcome to the show. Thank you for getting involved. Get voting on the poll as soon as it comes in. And yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited to get into the news. We also have Carrick speaking in the press conference later on today, which I'm excited to hear what he has to say. I mean, there's been updates around De Ligt. There's been updates around Martinez and Mount. I mean, I'll say this straight off the bat. I'll get the injury news in straight off the bat before we get into the juicy transfer stuff that we will get into. But these are the injury updates going into that game against Aston Villa on Sunday. Mason Mount. No sign of him in training, despite Carrick saying on February the 1st he would be back very, very soon. So Mason Mount, no sign in training. In February the 1st, Carrick said he would be back very, very soon, and still no sign. I mean, with Mason Mount, I've said it multiple times before. I don't want to get into it too much because we've all said it. It is so frustrating that we actually have a good player who just can't physically get fit. And, I mean, It's not that relevant about the shirt number. I mean, I find the number 7 to be an iconic Manchester United shirt that I think should be worn week in, week out for Manchester United. And you know, there should be players assisting, scoring goals in that number 7 shirt. And I never had much of a concern about Mason Mount getting it when he originally did because I thought it was too early for Alejandro Garnacho. And for everyone who wanted Alejandro Garnacho to get the number 7, I think we can all say it was the right decision to not give it to Alejandro Garnacho. That would have been another situation where the number 7 shirt goes to a player that isn't going to justify it. But with Mason Mount, I never had an issue with him getting it originally. I thought it was a little bit okay. I did think with the number 7, it's good for a player to earn that shirt rather than just be given that shirt, unless it is the likes of a Cristiano Ronaldo, Edison Cavani, you know, the sort of players that justify it when coming into the football club. Obviously, what they've done in their careers, you know, they justify that kind of shirt. But the fact is, he's got ability, Mason Mount. He's got attributes. He could be a good player for Manchester United, but he's just never fit. He's just never fit, and it's so frustrating. And with the injury updates you get from Manchester United, I just take him with a pinch of salt now. I don't read into it. When Michael Carrick says, De Ligt is nearly there, or Mason Mount's nearly there, or we're hoping within the next week or two, I just don't believe it. I actually don't believe it, because it just never ends up happening that way. We were told from Ruben Amorim back in November that De Ligt was only going to miss a game. And there's reports and rumours now that he's going to be out for the season. So behind the injuries at Manchester United, I just don't believe what he said. And I don't know whether it's because Manchester United just don't want to give clarity and information on that. And I find it strange. Why would you not want to give clarity to the fans on players and when they're going to return? I don't know if they just don't know the return date, so they don't want to estimate it, or they estimate it and then there's setbacks and something happens in the recovery that wasn't planned. I don't know what's going on. But Lisandro Martínez was only supposed to miss a game or so. Mason Mount was going to be back very soon. De Ligt was apparently only going to miss a game or two back in November. And all three players still not back for Manchester United and not in training. So that is a little bit frustrating. I hope they're all back and fit round to go as soon as possible. I mean, I think with De Ligt, he's not exactly been injury prone previously in his career. So it's one of them where it's clearly a very bad back injury. And I would not be surprised if he's out from now until the end of the season, because it's not as if we're absolutely desperate for him if you can get Leacher and Maguire fit. But Leacher being out, you do start to get desperate for him, to be honest with you. But with De Ligt, you sort of think, OK, let's see how the rest of the season goes. Get fit in pre-season, we go again next season. But with Lisandro Martínez, as much as I love him, and as a player, I think he's fantastic. His mentality is fantastic. I love Lisandro Martínez. I love the way he plays the game. As much as you can talk about all the good things about Lisandro Martínez, he's been out for more games he's been available since he's been at Manchester United. That's something that is concerning. And he's still not back in training either. And then Mason Mount, he also, I mean, I think the longest period we've got of Mason Mount being fit was at the start of this season under Amorim, when he had them games where he really looked like he was starting to arrive at Manchester United, and Manchester United actually looked like a better team when he was playing. But since he's been injured, it's frustrating. You can never rely on him. You can never solidify his place in the team, even though he's a good player, because he's just consistently injured. And we, as a team, as a squad, going into next season with Champions League football, we need players we can rely upon. And as ruthless as some may see it, we are a football club striving to be, hopefully, I mean, this is what we should be striving for, competitors in the Premier League and competitors in the Champions League. We can't afford to carry passengers that can't pull the weight. And I know the likes of Leacher and the likes of Mason Mount don't want to be injured, but if you are consistently injured and you are consistently unavailable, you're taking the spot of a player that we could get in who is a very good player, but is more robust and more available and ready to fight week in, week out. So it might be ruthless. I know it's unfortunate for the players, and I hope that by some miracle they can get fit for weeks and weeks and weeks, like Luke Shaw has done. Luke Shaw this season, massively injury prone, but this season he's played every week. If somehow they can do that, brilliant. But with Mason Mount, I think there's an underlying issue that clearly he's really struggling with. And Manchester United can't afford to keep going with a player that, what his wage, 240 grand a week, and the shirt number on his back, the number 7, that demands a player who is available and ready to play week in, week out. And as much as I think he's a good player, you can't just keep going with that when he's not available to play and contribute. You need to be able to fill that gap in your squad, especially when you've got Champions League football. There's only so long you can go on for. And then with Leacher, he's our starting left-sided centre-back. If your top starting left-sided centre-back isn't fit for the majority of his games, like I said, he's been out for more games than he's played for Manchester United, you've got to start looking, do we need a new starting left-sided centre-back who is available week in, week out? So it's something to ponder upon. It is something to ponder upon. So, yeah, Mason Mount, no sign of him in training. Lisandro Martínez has now been out for 3 weeks and also no sign of him in training. De Ligt reportedly has a bad back problem that may keep him out for the remainder of the season. And also, a bit of good news to sort of bring in. 18-year-old centre-back Albert Mills training with the first team this week. He's looking really good. He's looking really good in the academy. Keep an eye on him, Albert Mills. And also, there is some news about JJ Gabriel training with the first team as well. Apparently he's regularly training with the first team a lot now. And Brian Mbeumo's been speaking about how much quality he has. We won't see him play with the first team this season in the Premier League. Rules have restricted that, but I think it's only a matter of time before JJ Gabriel does break onto the scene. So, you know, you see some academy players coming through, and Albert Mills is definitely one to watch. Godwill Kokonke is also one to watch, a young, promising left-sided centre-back that could be coming through the ranks, and we know what a talent JJ Gabriel could be. So there's ones to watch, but also going into the summer transfer window, United need to be ruthless and they need to decide, especially with Lisandro Martínez's contract coming up, that contract renewal, and where you're at with Mason Mount. Do we try and shift these players and get players in who can be fit, or do we still give them a little bit more time? Get in the comments what you would do. Thank you everyone for tuning in and getting into the show. Straight away we've got Amit saying, if Mainoo gets sold, United will have to get 4 midfielders. Mainoo isn't being sold. Mainoo wants a contract that shows his worth and his value and wants what he deserves. He's currently one of the lowest players in the squad. Lowest paid players in the squad. So Manchester United aren't going to let go of Casemiro, potentially Manuel Ugarte, potentially Bruno Fernandes, although I do think Bruno Fernandes will stay, all in one summer. That's just not going to happen, as well as needing to go and get more midfielders in. Kobbie Mainoo will stay at Manchester United, and we will eventually offer him a new deal. It's just contract negotiations right now. Mainoo wants a good wage. He wants a wage of a player that is starting for Manchester United, and you can understand that. I think he's on something. I mean, it's crazy to say that we're talking about this as to be a low wage when you talk about, you know, the real world and what people get paid. But I think he's on like 30 grand a week or something like that. And okay, yeah, he's not going to be struggling, is he? But when you look at the fact that Ugarte is on over 100 grand a week, if you look at the fact, you know, Casemiro's on 350 grand a week, and you look at Bruno Fernandes on 350 grand a week, and don't get me wrong, Bruno Fernandes and Casemiro have way more experience and can demand more money than Mainoo, absolutely. But he probably just wants what he's worth. I think Lenny Yoro's on just touching over 100 grand a week. He probably wants around 100 to 150 grand a week, something along them lines. And that's where Kobbie Mainoo and Manchester United are going to have to come to a decision on a new contract. And I think we will eventually offer him that new contract with the wage he deserves. But Mainoo's camp will be pushing to get him the best possible contract that is possible. So it's just contract negotiations. When you see news come out about it's not 100% certain that Mainoo will stay at Manchester United, it's not, it never is, but he wants to stay. He's a Manchester United fan. He wants to play for Manchester United. He's now back in the first team. I think he will be part of the first team when a new manager comes in, or if Carrick stays. And all roads lead to a new contract with Kobbie Mainoo. Don't be worried about Kobbie Mainoo leaving. The only time you get worried about Kobbie Mainoo leaving if Manchester United is silly enough to not put a contract of what he's worth on the table. And I'm not saying go and give him 250 grand a week. I'm not saying that at all. But with Kobbie Mainoo, I think his place in the team probably justifies from, 120 to 150 grand a week? And I think Kobbie Mainoo would probably take that contract. And of course you can add in bonuses, you can add in opportunities for a pay rise, but you would also probably need to backdate his pay because he's been outperforming 30 grand a week for a very long time at Manchester United. So with Kobbie Mainoo, it's just contract negotiations to try and get that contract that he's been wanting and deserving of, I think, for quite a long time now. Under Amorim, when he wasn't getting the game time, there wasn't really a leg to stand on from Mainoo's camp, but now he's playing again and he's in a team where everybody's getting paid way more than him. You can understand why he wants a contract that is higher than what he's currently got. So that's all it is with Mainoo. But I still believe we need to get 3 midfielders. Mainoo, keep Bruno, Cassie's going, Ugarte goes, you need to get 2 more, and then I think you need another one as well because, like I said, you can't rely upon Mason Mount. And as much as we'd like to look to the academy, there's no one as of now that is breaking in enough to say, you can play first team football for Manchester United next season. I mean, I hope someone does come through in the pre-season tour, but you're banking a lot on a young player coming through and being good enough. You want to be able to nurture a young player in, not throw them in and be like, you have to be good enough to play European football and Premier League football now. So we need a deep squad. We need 3 midfielders, I think. Kill Robinson says we should have sold Martínez last year. Do you know what it is? I don't want to sell Martínez because Martínez, ticks every box from what I'd want for a Manchester United player, apart from being fit. You know, he's aggressive. He knows the responsibility of wearing that badge. He respects the badge and he gives absolutely everything on the pitch when he plays. He's a leader. He's focused. He's intelligent. He's excellent on the ball. I think we miss him when he's not playing. I think since Lisandro Martínez has been injured, you can clearly see that we don't move the ball as well from back to front because he dictates the play coming out from the back. He creates them line-breaking passes. He's aggressive. You know, in a game, he's gonna give that aggression, that passion, that personality. He's got everything you would want, apart from the fitness. And as much as I wouldn't want to sell him, if the injuries continue, you do have to look at that. And the thing is with Manchester United, they've got a big decision to make because it's coming up to that point where with Lisandro Martínez, you either cash in or you give him a new contract. And the question is, do you give him a new long-term contract with doubts and red flags that he could spend the majority of that new long-term contract injured? Because if you look at his current situation at Manchester United, he has been unavailable for more games than he's been available for. So you're banking on the fact that Sandro Martínez can stay fit if you're going to give him a new long-term contract. And that's a decision that Manchester United have to make. I mean, get in the comments down below what you would do. You have Orlando Tamago saying Camavinga is extremely injury prone, and I'm going to talk about Camavinga very, very shortly, so keep getting your votes in. Party like it is 99. Party like it's 1999. It says João Gomez at Wolves is a great shout, I think. João Gomez at Wolves. A lot of people like him. A lot of people rate him. Going to be totally honest with you. I think he's a good player. I think he's a good Premier League midfielder. He's not someone that I would want Manchester United to sign. He doesn't blow my socks off. I think Manchester United should be aiming slightly higher. If you brought him in to be a squad player, I could understand it. But for me, he's just a better version of Ugarte. I think we need to be aiming super high. We need midfielders that can do it all. And for me, João Gomez is good, but he's not, wow, I think he should be playing for Manchester United good. Going to be honest. Amit says, 4 Premier League proven midfielders must be signed next summer. I don't think you're going to get 4 of them. I definitely don't think you're going to get 4 of them. I mean, keep aiming high. But we need to get 3 midfielders in, absolutely. Not all of them have to be Premier League proven, but I would like 2 of them to be Premier League proven, if I'm going to be completely honest with you. A lot of people saying you would cash in on Lisandro Martínez. I'm just going to, do you know what? I'm going to pivot a little bit. With the Eduardo Camavinga vote, I'm going to make my vote now. Let's end that poll and let's start a poll of would you offer Lisandro Martínez a new deal? So let's do Lisandro Martínez, new deal, or cash in. So that's the new poll that I'll do. Licha Martínez, new deal or cash in, because they're the only 2 options that Manchester United have got with the amount of time he's got left on his contract. Let me just double check, but I think it is 2027 that runs out contract at Manchester United. Let me have a look. So, expiry at Manchester United. Yes, so his contract expires on the 30th of June 2027. So you literally do have to offer him either a new deal or cash in this summer. So get voting in that. And by the way, 64% of you said that you would take Camavinga. And we'll get onto it. I'll park that. Let's write a note of it. Producer, write a note of the poll results of Eduardo Camavinga. Let's get it down and we'll park it and come back to it. We've got so much to cover on the news show this morning. Hi Beth, off topic, but do you think the poor results by English teams in the Champions League reflects the poor quality of the EPL at the moment? So that's coming in from Rob, Always United, legend of the chat. Absolutely love Rob's comments and he's always involved. Thank you very much, Rob, for getting your comments in. Do I think it reflects the poor quality of the league? I don't think it does. I think, you know, anybody can have a bad night. I mean, Spurs shouldn't be in the Champions League. Like, let's put it this way. I saw a tweet resurface of when Spurs won the Europa League and they did like a video on the social saying, Champions League, are you ready for us? And I quote tweeted and said Championship, are you ready for us? Spurs, they shouldn't even count as an English team in the Champions League. The fact that we let them win that Europa League, I will never let it down. I will never live it down. How did Spurs beat us to that Europa League trophy? Anyway, Don't even want to think about it. Spurs shouldn't be in there. Regarding all the other teams, do you know what it is? I wouldn't say the Premier League definitely isn't poor quality. It's just every league has their style, right? And I feel like the Premier League is now going through a phase where the style is long throws, physicality, defensive awareness, team shape, being astute. And I do think we have lost in the Premier League that flair and that individual ability to, where there can be that match winner, there can be that player that just takes your team to another level and goes and wins you the game. I think we miss the real, talent that gets you off your feet. Like the Eden Hazard of the Premier League. Like Eden Hazard, the way he played football, as much as, he played for Chelsea, I was just mesmerised by it. Eden Hazard's one of the, I wouldn't say favourite, but most entertaining players I've watched play in the Premier League that isn't a United player. I think we miss them sort of characters in the Premier League. And I think Arsenal, dominating not dominating, but definitely, moving up towards the top of the Premier League has sort of caused this wave of physicality is the main thing that is preferred in the Premier League as of now. So I think different leagues have different styles. When I watch the likes of a PSG, when I watch the likes of a Barcelona, when I watch the likes of a Bayern Munich, well, to be honest with you, more PSG and Bayern Munich of recent Champions League games, I watch them play football and I think, wow, I would love to see more of this in the Premier League. I would absolutely love to. When you look at what Luis Enrique has done with that PSG side, it makes you just want him at Manchester United. And there's so many people that say, you can't play with attacking fullbacks as well as attacking wingers and, without out-and-out centre defensive midfielders. And you just look at PSG and you can see what they're doing. You have Hakimi and Nuno Mendes just bombing on. You have wingers that want to attack. Yeah, they do the work and get back. Luis Enrique has them well drilled. They will get back, of course they will. But you have the likes of Barcola, Doué, Kvaratskhelia, Ousmane Dembele, who's just ridiculous, all wanting to get forward. And then in the midfield, you've not got the most physical midfield at all, but you've got technical players. Vitinha, João Neves, like players who are just ridiculously good on the ball and have good vision. And I think what the Premier League has done, it's not as if it's a bad quality league, because it's not. I still think it's the best league in the world when you look at the league as a whole and how competitive it is. But it's prioritised physicality over technique and vision and technical ability. And I think we need to get that back into the league, because we want to see attacking football. We want to see end-to-end football. We want to see players having the freedom to go and take a man on. And even if you look at, you look at the likes of Arsenal, who are towards the top of the Premier League now, and you see Bukayo Saka. He's hailed as one of the best right wingers in the Premier League, if not the world. And I actually think Bukayo Saka is a very, very good player. I just don't think he has the freedom in the Arsenal side to express himself the way you would want him to. For example, Eze. Eze, I think, has so much flair. He's got so much ability. And I think if he had that freedom to express himself, you would see a much more exciting Eze. You saw it a little bit at Crystal Palace, but I feel like at Arsenal, he's got to fit into, that model that Arteta's building there. And you miss out on seeing that side of a player. And I just want to see a little bit more of that, to be honest with you, throughout the Premier League. And maybe the Champions League will be a wake-up call to the Premier League to allow players to express themselves a little bit more in that sense. And I do think we missed that. I think we missed that in the Prem. But yeah, that was a big tangent. Tom McBride says, I'm glad we lost that final, a blessing in disguise. Yeah, to be honest with you, Tom, it's not as if I'd never be glad to lose a final, and I would always want to win every final that we've been in. But we weren't ready to play Champions League football this season. As much as I've missed having any European football, and it's been an absolute killer, the lack of games, we weren't ready for it. And if we would have won that Europa League, Amorim would probably still be in a job, because everyone would say you have to keep him because he won the Europa League. And also, we probably would have Liam Delap playing up front for us instead of the likes of Benjamin Sesko. That probably would have happened. So I think there's always a domino effect. Everything happens for a reason. And as much it was embarrassing to lose to Spurs in that manner, and it's still one of the darkest days, and you always want to win a European trophy, for the rebuild of this football club, it could be a benefit for sure. But keep getting your comments in on that Lisandro Martínez poll. Anyway, let me get into what I wanted to get into as soon as I started the show, to be honest with you, and that is where Manchester United are at in terms of the manager, the midfield, the summer transfer window. And this completely shocked me. I mean, it didn't shock me because it makes sense, but it also did shock me because I thought there's no way that Manchester United aren't already talking to players and looking at transfers. Like, I couldn't get my head around it. We should be planning our summer transfer window now, and it should already be near enough planned. I mean, I know we've got to look at the manager, I know we've got to look at Champions League football, but there should be two plans nailed on. The plan with Champions League football and the plan without, and that should have happened. But this is what Fabrizio Romano had to say. He said, Manchester United need to clarify a few things before moving forward for Elliot Anderson. Number one, the manager. Number two, whether they get Champions League or not. Number three, the budget. He is appreciated at United, but the club are yet to decide who's the top 1, 2 and 3 midfielder targets. And I'm just like, what? What? How do we not know what our budget is with Champions League football and without Champions League football? And this is coming from a Tier 1 journalist, by the way. And how are we not already trying to reach out to targets who are definitely being reached out to by other clubs? Like, I mean, the rumour is, and I'm not going to ignore it, the rumour is that everything to Man City is near enough done apart from signing the contract. Man City have already spoken to Elliot Anderson and they've absolutely, talked about what the wage would be and the project and conversations have happened. If Manchester United haven't even talked to their top targets yet or even thought about who their top target's going to be, I mean, this is the time where you do it. I am a little bit shocked at that, to be honest with you. And as much as I've said multiple times, getting the Mbeumo, Cunha and Sesko and Lamens deals done was fantastic. 4 out of 4 in the summer. You've got to be happy with that. Missing out on a midfielder, that was a blow. Fullbacks, that is a blow. You can never do absolutely everything. You've got to prioritise. But we've got to... This summer is huge for Manchester United. And how are we going to get everything done? How are we going to get the manager done, the top targets done, every position we want to get done? And the World Cup is going to be going on as well. So the fact that we've not sort of put together who the top 1, 2 and 3 midfield targets are yet, according to Fabrizio Romano, absolutely blows my mind. Because we should have 2 lists. Who our top 3 midfield targets are if we get Champions League football, and who the top 3 are if we don't get Champions League football. That's what we should have. And we should be planning ahead for both. We should be already pitching to our Champions League level targets and say, this is the plan. If we get Champions League football, this is who our manager's going to be. This is who we want our manager to be. I know the thing is, and this is what you've got to look at. If Manchester United do try and talk to Sandro Tonali now, if they do try and talk to Elliot Anderson now, what can they say? And I've said this on multiple shows. They can say, this is who I want the manager to be. This is who we're aiming for the manager to be. We can say, we think we're going to have Champions League football, but they can't give anything to the player to sort of sell a project. Whereas other clubs can. Man City, they're nailed on for Champions League football, let's be honest. I know it's not been revealed yet whether Pep Guardiola is going to stay or not, but they can internally say to a player whether they think Pep Guardiola is going to stay and what the plan is with Pep Guardiola. So with Manchester United, it's hard to picture projects. And when I talk about being too slow, we need to hurry up with this managerial process. I mean, I don't know if Manchester United are just keeping leaks completely in-house, and they've done absolutely amazingly at not letting leaks come out of the football club, and they could be way further on in this process than what we know about because nothing's come out. But we need to get this manager done by the end of the season, or at the end of the season, very, very quickly. And I don't want to rush the process. I absolutely don't want to rush the process. I want to make sure we get the right manager in. But what Manchester United need to do, and should have been doing since Amorim left and departed and was sacked, they should be going through the managerial process of deciding who the top targets are. Then they should be going through an interview process. And at the end of the season, they should be in a position where they can near enough announce who the next manager of Manchester United is going to be. That's where we should be at. And then we can go and get our targets in pretty quickly. You can pitch the project. You know you've got Champions League football. So, okay, we might not be able to convince our top targets to join us in March because we've not got any of the project nailed on yet. What you can do is you can get the managerial process sorted out, and then at the end of the season, you can go straight to your top targets and say, look, we sort of spoke to you in March. We put the feelers out. We are very interested. We've now got Champions League football to offer. This is the wage we're thinking of, and this manager is the manager we've got in Manchester United. This is who we're going with. You're going to fit into their style of play. We're really excited to get you in this team with what we're building. This is what we're looking to do next season. However, how I feel like it's going to go, and I hope this isn't the case, is I feel like we're going to get to the end of the season. There's going to be that period again where we have no idea what's going to happen, and the managerial process is still going on. A few weeks into the summer, we might get the manager appointed. Then by that time, everybody's at the World Cup, all the good players are anyway, and you've missed out on some of your top targets, or a lot of your top targets, because the other clubs have got there first. And that is what I'm worried about. What is the plan? When is the manager going to be done by? Are we speaking to our top targets? According to Fabrizio Romano, we're not. Are we going to lose out on them to other clubs because of that? We need to be able to, at the end of the season, as soon as we know if we've got Champions League football or not, go to the likes of an Elliot Anderson, a Sandro Tonali, top targets, and say, this is why we want you. Come and join us. This manager, you're going to fit in like a glove. We can't wait to have you. This is what we want to do. You're going to be the mainstay in this team. We're going to build a team around you. This is the team that's going to take Manchester United back to competing for Premier Leagues and Champions League, and we want you to be part of it. That's what we should be pitching. But I have a feeling we might go down the route of, well, at the end of the season, we're still looking at managers. And we want to do a thorough process. We've not quite decided yet. Oh, yeah, Elliot Anderson's gone to City, and Sandro Tonali's gone to Arsenal. Now we can't even get Bruno Guimaraes because Newcastle aren't going to let two of their big assets go, never mind two of their big midfielders go. But we've always wanted Carlos Baleba. We said it last summer. Carlos Baleba was always our main target, and I'm just worried we're just going to be a bit slow at getting the business done that needs to be done, because it can be done. Like I've said, it's not over till it's over. We can still put an amazing pitch in to Elliot Anderson and try and swoop in on that deal. We can go in and pitch to Sandro Tonali and get in there first with Newcastle. They're gonna sell someone. With Newcastle, they don't want to sell all of their assets. But if you want Sandro Tonali, you get in there first. If you want Bruno Guimaraes, you get in there first. They will sell probably one of them. If someone pushes to leave, they won't make it easy, but without European football, it's going to be hard to keep everyone. They'll probably sell one or two assets at a push. You've got to be first in line. But if we're too busy trying to sort out the manager and then transfers fall behind, you could be at the back of the queue. And that's sort of what happened. Do you remember that summer when Ajax got raided? And we went in for Lisandro Martínez. I think Timber went to Arsenal, and Ajax just got raided. Other players moved that summer, I'm pretty sure. But with Anthony, he was the last one. And we paid massively over the odds because they didn't want to sell all of their assets. And I'm not comparing Newcastle to Ajax. Newcastle just will not let all their assets go at all. But you're more likely to get a player at a good price and at the right price if you get in there early rather than wait until the end. So I just hope that we've learnt from previous mistakes. I understand that wasn't under the Ineos regime. However, the whole Ten Hag debacle and whether we were staying as manager or going as manager was under the Ineos regime. And we cannot afford to let that happen again. Do you remember that situation when we didn't know if Ten Hag was going to be our manager or not next season, and they were going speaking to Tuchel, De Zerbi and Kieran McKenna? And Ten Hag was just sort of on holiday waiting to hear if he's going to be manager or not while they go and speak to loads of other people. We can't afford that lingering situation to happen again. So we need to move quicker. And I'm sorry, how long does it take to interview managerial targets? How long does it take to put together a managerial shortlist and interview these targets? How long does that take? How long would you expect that to take? It is a huge decision, of course it is, and it's a decision I really probably wouldn't want to make. However, it's quite obvious what Manchester United should be doing. You should be going for the best manager you can currently get in Luis Enrique. You should be throwing everything but the kitchen sink at it. And if you don't get it, then you move on to other targets and we cross that bridge when we come to it. But I don't understand why Manchester United aren't pitching everything and putting together an amazing package and project to Luis Enrique. What's the hold-up? What's the hold-up? We're the best, well, it's arguably whether the best club in England, but we're the biggest club in England, in my opinion the best, but the biggest club in England, we're one of the biggest clubs in the world, we're a sleeping giant, we have got pull for a manager. Go and convince him. Yeah, PSG might be an absolute nightmare to deal with. But if Luis Enrique makes it clear to PSG he wanted to move and he wanted to try the Premier League, they're not going to keep a manager who doesn't want to be there. You can manoeuvre an exit. It's going to cost you money and you're going to have to put a good pitch together and you're going to have to probably manoeuvre your model a little bit and change your model a little bit to give Luis Enrique more control. But it's obvious what needs to be done. What are we waiting for? And if you can't pull it off, which at least try, but if you can't pull it off, then let's talk to other managerial targets that are on the list. And it's something that I think Manchester United need to speed up on a little bit. We get your votes in, Lisandro Martínez, new deal or not. So, yeah, with the Anderson, according to Fabrizio Romano, it's not over till it's over, but it doesn't fill me with too much hope that City are already talking to Elliot Anderson and we're not in a position to do so yet because our project isn't finalised and put together. So, yeah, it's been 2 months, by the way, since Ruben Amorim has departed Manchester United. And what is the plan? What is the plan? Because we've heard about this thorough managerial process, but how is that taking place? How is that taking place? There's no one really rumoured to be top of that list. We've not had any leaks come out about speaking to any managers, and Manchester United might have just kept everything super, super tight, but there's no smoke without fire. Something always gets out, and we've not heard really anything about that. What have we been doing within that time frame? Are we hoping that Michael Carrick does really well and we can give him the job? If we are, like, let's make that clear. That seems like it looks like we're doing that, and I know some people won't want that to happen, but with Michael Carrick, I think he has to be in the conversation. He absolutely has to be in the conversation. I've said before, look, Enrique is absolutely my top option. But I think you obviously have to have other managers there that you're going to look at if you can't get Enrique. And I've still not let go of that Enrique. I still don't buy any excuse we can't get Enrique in. We are the biggest club in England, one of the biggest clubs in the world. Act like it. I won't hear an excuse as why we can't get Enrique. Go and pitch to him. That would make waves around the footballing world if we went and got him. People would wake up and say, OK, Manchester United are finally serious. But if you can't get him, Carrick is one of the options. Nagelsmann should be one of the options. Areola, for me, would be one of the options. It'd be a huge risk, but he would be a wildcard option. But we're not hearing anything about any other managers, and that just worries me a little bit, to be honest with you. We have some super chats coming in here. We have Amit saying United and Chow Chow are the same, both too slow and lazy. Amit says United will slack and end up with low-class midfielders. I hope not. I really hope not, Amit. I mean, I'm positive that we will spend big money in the summer, and I'm positive we will make some really good additions. One thing that I have noticed shift under the Ineos regime is the targets that we look at. Our transfer targets and the profiles of players that we're looking at are way more exciting and way more, likely to come into Manchester United and be able to step up and make an impact. It's just how many we'll be able to do, how slow we will be, whether we'll be able to win transfer races. That's what sort of I kind of look at. Andy Atherton says, who's had the most appearances, Mount or Goldbridge? Kill Robinson says, rotate good injury-prone players is our tactic. And we need good players that aren't injury-prone. We need players that are going to be able to give it all week in, week out. And just to give you an update on what my managerial shortlist is as of now. So I've just spoken, Luis Enrique, no one. Ben Jacobs on the show, love him dearly, love the B&B show. He won't be able to convince me why United shouldn't be going for it. PSG want to keep him, great. He speaks very good English. He wants to manage in the Premier League. He's one of the best managers of recent times. Go and pitch everything to go and get him. City would be doing it. City would be doing it. Be ambitious, be ruthless. There's no excuse you can give me as to why you shouldn't be going pitching to Luis Enrique. Oh, well, Manchester United might have to change the model that they've built. So, like, you can still have a good footballing structure and a good footballing model and have a manager that wants a little bit of control and demands a little bit of control. Look at what he's done with PSG. Look at what he's done in his managerial career. He's won 2 trebles with 2 different teams. Nobody could come in and win the Champions League with PSG. They even had Neymar, Messi and Mbappe going at it, and they still couldn't do it. Luis Enrique comes in, he goes and does it. He's great with youth. He plays good attacking football. He's got a good eye for talent. Yes, you're going to have to spend a little bit of money, but we're Manchester United and we want to compete. That is expected. Like, if you want to get back to the top, you're not going to do it by not being ambitious and not being ruthless. They're two things you've got to be in football nowadays to be highly competitive. And if you want to compete with the likes of the Pep Guardiolas of the world, the Hansi Flicks of the world, you know, the Vincent Kompany's, Bayern Munich's of the world, you've got to have a top-class manager. And if we have to change the structure of Jason Wilcox and Christopher Vivell a little bit, why would we not do that? For a proven manager that will come in and will make everybody stand up, take him seriously. Everyone will take Manchester United seriously, and has proven that his CV is capable of playing extremely good football and winning. That's exactly what Manchester United need. Bruce says Enrique ain't coming to this mess. He would do if you pitched him the right project. I believe that. I believe that the pull of bringing Manchester United back to the top for a manager of what Enrique's done in his CV, I believe he could be persuaded. Some people underestimate the pull of Manchester United. If you're the manager that goes and wins Manchester United a Premier League, a Champions League again, you know, the lure of managing in the Premier League as well. We've heard reports that he wants to manage in the Premier League one day. That could just solidify him as one of the best managers of recent times. It would be an exciting prospect for Enrique if you're willing to offer him money and a project that excites him and shows that there is a vision there and the ambition and the hunger to go and compete. But yeah, I just don't let people dull your ambition. We are Manchester United Football Club. We should have the best. Don't let people say to you, oh, Enrique's unrealistic. Why is it unrealistic? One of the biggest clubs in the world. City would be going to try and do it. Why shouldn't we be? So anyway, yeah. Anyway, that's the case closed on that. So Enrique is clearly my top target. And then there's talk, and then Nagelsmann does absolutely have to be in there. I just really do worry about the potential back three of it all. I'm still scared, but he is tactically flexible. He's played a back four before. He's played a back three before. But I just worry about a manager coming in and playing a back three. I'm sorry, it does worry me. But tactically, he is immense. He is young. He is modern. He's innovative. Would he be able to do it at Manchester United? There's no guarantees, but he's absolutely exciting, and he has good connections with Vivell, which could create that connection. And he's great with young players. He's great with development. You know, he has experience managing massive clubs like Bayern Munich. He has taken that step up, and you know, he's got a background of managing big personalities as well. So he's someone that I would bring in. And then as a wildcard option, I'd look at Adoni Areola. Plays very intense pressing football, which I think would be great to see at Old Trafford. However, has he got the personality to manage a club like Manchester United? That's why he's not top of my list. He's such a wild card. It's such a risk. And, you know, when you look at Areola compared to Enrique, you're always going to want to go down the Enrique route if you want guaranteed success. But as a wildcard option, the way Areola plays football and the way he's been able to shift, adapt with a Bournemouth side with little budget and constantly having their best players ripped away from them, I think what he's done at Bournemouth is nothing short of absolutely sensational, to be honest with you. Like, he is a great tactical coach. He plays really good football. He's end-to-end. And if he could instill that football at Manchester United, you could see a real entertaining Manchester United side, but it's just whether he'd be able to do it. So, look, we want best in class, and there is, you know, with Enrique, it's just whether he's going to get the power. With Nagelsmann, is he going to be able to have the time to get his project going the way that he'd want it to go and be able to get the results with the players that he would have? And would he get the right investment? Would he want to play a back three? There's always a worry there. And with Areola, does he have the personality to move from a Bournemouth to a United? It's just such a big jump. And then there's also Michael Carrick, who has the culture and the identity, has proven he can get results, has the Manchester United DNA. But the thing is with Michael Carrick is, what is his ceiling? What is Michael Carrick's ceiling? Is he the manager that's going to be able to take Manchester United to Premier Leagues, to Champions Leagues? And that's always a question mark you'll have with Michael Carrick if you were going to take that jump. So there's there's drawbacks and pros to everyone, but that's sort of where I'm at the moment. But let's move back to this Camavinga story. Now I've sort of explained where we're at with the manager and how Manchester United are going to have to sort the manager out before they start going for summer targets, because it's going to be difficult to go for players blind. Some players will come. You could probably go for Baleba without a manager and he probably would come. But players that have multiple offers on the table from multiple top clubs are going to want to see a project. So let's kind of work back round to the transfer targets that we've got. And this is what is coming in out of Spain. Real Madrid have opened the door for a sale to Eduardo Camavinga with a price tag of 45 million. So would you do it? Would you do it? If this was Camavinga a couple of years ago, I would be the first one in line. I think Camavinga is one of them players where if you just look at his ability, you would absolutely want him. If you just look at his ability. But I have been scarred by injury-prone players before. Eduardo Camavinga used to be one of my top options for Manchester United, but I'm just very scarred by players that have been hit with injury, affected by injury, and if Real Madrid want to move him on and are open for offers, I do worry it's for a reason and it's because of the injury issues he's had. Because there's no doubt in his capabilities as a player. He's talented, massively talented, hugely talented. He's versatile. And I think as a player, yes, I would want to take him. But United can't afford players that are going to spend a lot of time in the injury room anymore. We need robust players that are available week in, week out. All players are going to have issues at some point or the other, unless they're absolutely, robotic, like a Bruno Fernandes. Even he got an injury this season. All players are going to have an issue here and there, but you want players who are readily fit and available most weeks, and I just do worry about that injury issue. So for that reason, I would probably look elsewhere, which is crazy. But both him and Tchouaméni have caught my eye, I'm going to be honest, because they are talented players that you probably could get. But you always have to question, why are Real Madrid willing to let them go? And that's where I'd be at on that one. And anyway, 64% of you said that you would go and get him. But I know there is a few people that would also be concerned about the injury situation as well. Also, another midfielder that's caught my eye who has been spoken about this morning. Apparently, Sporting captain Morten Younglen is a new addition to the Manchester United shortlist. I wouldn't say he's a new addition because we've always liked him and looked at him. He has a 69 million release clause, but Sporting may negotiate with United's strong history with the Lisbon club, Ronaldo, Bruno, Amorim, etc., and that could play a role. I mean, I'd never in a million years be paying 69 million for Younglen. Absolutely no, thank you. But he absolutely is a player that we've always looked at. He wouldn't be one of my top options, to be honest with you. He's got the leadership, being captain of Sporting, and he's someone that I was thinking about when Amorim was at the club, but he wouldn't make my top options. And I think simply for the fact, I just think there's better options out there. I think there is better options out there and there's more exciting options out there. And I think if we were going to go for him, that's a player we should have probably done last season or the season before. I think he's one of the players that we've probably missed the boat on now. I also am not exactly thrilled by the fact he has an Arsenal tattoo. It just puts me off. So for me, that would probably be also a no. And this is quite interesting as well. Inter Milan duo, and this is coming out from La Gazzetta over in Italy. Inter Milan duo, Alessandro Bastoni and Nicolo Barella are on a list that Inter are willing to sell to reinvest in their squad. That's been really weird. But basically, Inter Milan are open to offers for Bastoni and Barella, according to La Gazzetta, if the right offer comes in. Would you go for any of them players? When I'm looking at the fact Lisandro Martínez is injury prone and as good as he is, can't stay fit, and when I'm looking at the fact Mason Mount, as much as we'd want to use him, he can't stay fit, I'm looking at the likes of Bastoni and Barella and saying, would I take Bastoni? Absolutely, he's one of the best centre-backs in the world. Would I take Barella? Yes, I would. He's a quality player. If you could replace Lisandro Martínez and Mason Mount with Barella and Bastoni, you would do it. However, I don't think United will be able to pull off them 2 deals. I think you'd be looking at massive money for Bastoni, and I think he'll end up staying in Italy. And regarding Barella, he's probably someone you could get, and he's a very, very good player. Very good player. Underrated, I would say, actually. Really good player. So if you could just swap Mason Mount and Lisandro Martínez out for Bastoni and Barella, you would do it, because fit, available to play, and really good talent. So I'd be interested to see if there actually is anything in that. Elvici says, I've dreamed of Bastoni at United since 2022, lol. Lee Dixon says Barella is 29. He's not. I think he's 26. Let me just check. Oh, but I thought you said Bastoni. Bastoni is 29. Barella is 29. Bastoni is 26. Why do players get written off as soon as they get to 28, 29? Why do they? You could get a few good years out of Barella. Absolutely could. You don't. That's probably a reason why Inter would be probably looking to sell, to be honest with you, because, you know, they can get a bit of money out of him before he gets to that age where you're struggling to get a decent amount of money for him. But he's just turned 29 recently. You could still get 3 or 4 years out of him, to be honest with you. With Bastoni, he's 26, but I just don't see him leaving Italy. A lot of people say, you know, can he work in a back 4? I think he can. He's just an absolutely elite level centre-back, isn't he? And I know he's someone that Liverpool have looked at in the past, and he's absolutely someone that Manchester United should be looking at. But I struggle to see Inter selling them both. I'd probably see Barella as more likely, but both of them I would be open to at Manchester United. Barella's got insane technique, which is something that we're lacking. He's got an engine on him. And Bastoni is I think, would be excellent in the Premier League. Both of them I would look at. We've got JP saying, I feel like if we get Champions League football, we will attract big signings again, have the pull to attract a good manager and don't overspend on players. I mean, the manager situation, that could also be dependent on Champions League football. You do make a good point, but you can still be talking to managers now. Would you be open if we did get Champions League football? Would you not? What would it take? There still should be more shift happening. There should be more momentum surrounding this new manager search, in my opinion. Got some comments coming in. I also don't think we're going to spend big on a centre-back either, to be honest with you guys. You know, going into this summer, we might have to, because Harry Maguire isn't always fit as good as he's been. He's also had injury concerns. De Ligt has injury concerns. Martinez has injury concerns. And there are 3 main centre-backs, our 3 experienced centre-backs, so we might have to. I mean, imagine if Manchester United went and got Bastoni. I mean, I know we've not been linked to him at all. Could you imagine that? That would be elite, but we've got other areas we need to look at. The midfield is the main one, and I think fullbacks is absolutely massive. And just speaking on the fullback situation, this is what's coming out surrounding fullbacks as of now. So it is coming in that, let me get it up here. It's coming in from The Athletic that there isn't really a left-back shortlist for Manchester United going into this summer as of now. That is what Carl Anka has had to say. Let me just quickly have a little look here, because I've lost the bit where it's coming out here. Just looking here, guys. Sorry, 1 second. So frustrating. Okay, here we go. This is what Carl Anka had to say. So Carl Anka said, and this was on if Manchester United are looking at any left backs going into this summer. He said, I believe they have a left back long list somewhere. I have an idea of some players who might emerge on it, such as West Ham's Diouf, but I cannot say Manchester United are looking to sign a left back, nor should you say that Manchester United want to sign Diouf. So that's Diouf of West Ham. So coming out from Carl Anka that they do have a left back long list, so that we're obviously always going to be scouting for every position, so don't get too worried about that. But the issue is he cannot say that Manchester United are looking to sign a left-back. It doesn't feel clear. And that sort of aligns with what Ben Jacobs said on the show. Not the one with Maud, the one with me the week before. I think he said that Manchester United are more likely to now go for a right-back over a left-back, which is interesting because I think Manchester United should be going for both a left-back and a right-back in the summer. I think Manchester United have underestimated how important full-backs are to the modern game. Hakimi and Nuno Mendes at PSG are just prime examples of that. You really need good fullbacks, and I think Manchester United have been have been threadbare in that area for a long time, and it's somewhere where we massively need to invest. So the fact we're not really looking at a left back is sort of concerning to me, because we need a left back and we need a right back. So I know that could be the reason we're prioritising a right back over a left back, could be because of Dorgu. But Dorgu's very versatile, can play left wing as well. But what we might do is we might go heavy on a left winger like Diomande, and then Dorgu will be playing left back for Manchester United and have a more attacking left back in Patrick Dorgu, which, you know, I can get on board with a little bit, but I still think we should be looking at a left back and a right back. To be honest with you, get in the comments right now, by the way, if you had to pick a left back or a right back in the summer, I strongly think we should be signing both. But if you had to pick, what would you go for? Just get in the comments right now what you would do. Because I actually probably would go right back as well, to be honest with you. Just because we do have Patrick Dorgu, who is up and coming and can play left back really well, I think. I wasn't sure of him at first, but I think that growing confidence that he's got, his age, if Luke Shaw can stay fit and sort of be there as an option as well. Look, we need a left back. I'm not beating around the bush. We need a left back. I would absolutely be going for a left back, but if we could only sign one and push came to shove, Patrick Dorgu gives me a bit of assurance. Managerial can play there. You know, Luke Shaw can play there. I really would love, you know, a right back bombing up and down that right-hand side, putting crosses into the box. But let me know. Calvest Chrome says, left back 100%. Dorgu is a winger long term, but we're signing a left winger. I think we're going to sign Diomande in the summer, and I definitely think we'll sign a left wing back. Sorry, not left wing back, a left winger. Right back is the priority. We've got Leon as a backup, says FPL. He's not seeing much game time though, is he? Daniel Thompson's definitely a left back over a right back, but we do need a right back too. I would go left. Bodo Glimt, a few people are talking about. Have they got a good left back or right back we can go for maybe? Bodo Glimt keeps coming into the chat. Lee Dixon says we've got Harry Armas and Godwilker Conke. That's the reason, Beth. Godwilker Conke is more of a centre back, and I think we need a flying left back going up and down that left hand side. Just got an interesting quote coming in from Manuel Ugarte, who's been asked about his lack of playing time this season. And this could be an exit hint for Manuel Ugarte. So he said, this year is different because of the World Cup, obviously. I'm really excited about it and I really want it. I know I'm not playing, but I'm very happy and eager to be in the best shape possible for that moment. I'm always fit, even when I'm not playing. Obviously, playing gives you a certain rhythm, but I'm calm, trying to arrive in the best possible condition. So I think that's a good quote from Ugarte, and it's what you'd expect. As a player, you always are going to want to be playing football. You always want to be playing football. But you've got to keep yourself in the best possible condition to be called upon whenever needed. He's not making massive shockwaves that he's going to leave and look for a move. He's not said anything untoward. He said he wants to be playing, but he's ready for when he gets called upon, and that's exactly what you'd want from Ugarte. But he will. I think he will. I'd probably say it's an 80% chance that Ugarte leaves Manchester United in the summer, and I think that's a good thing for him and for the club. We need midfielders who we can trust and who can do everything. Ugarte is a bulldog. He's got good traits, and he's not a player that hasn't got any attributes whatsoever. He could be really good for the right sort of team. But playing at the level of Manchester United, what we need everything. We need a player that's good on the ball, a player with line-breaking passes. We need a player that can get around the pitch. We need someone who's good at tackling, someone who can read the game well, has good anticipation of where to be on the pitch. Ugarte can put a good challenge in. He's a good presser, but all the other sides of the game, he's not really got to his bow. He's not good at line-breaking passes. He's not good at getting forward. He's not got the aerial ability. You want everything from a midfielder at this day and age when you're playing at the top level. And that's where we can sort of struggle with Manuel Ugarte. But look, everyone. Also, this quote from Brian Mbumo. He said, one football match per week or a match every 3 days? Me, I prefer to play every 3 days. When have you done that, Brian? You played at Brentford last season. When's he ever played every 3 days? Oh, I'm joking, but with Brian Mbumo, I love the ambition, and that's what I want. You want to be playing football. You want to be in all the competitions. You want to be competing, and you get that rhythm. You get that hunger for it. You know, if you have a bad performance or a performance where you're not quite at the races, you want to put it right ASAP, and you'll lose that match rhythm and that match sharpness if you're not playing football often. I genuinely do believe that. But look, thank you very much. Max says Ugarte's got to go. I've said that. He says he disagrees with me. Ugarte's got to go. I think he does have to go. He does have to go in the summer, and I think United need to be more ruthless. Last but not least, Lisandro Martínez, new deal or cash in. See what the poll is coming up at. While I'm waiting for that poll to come in, just remember, tonight on That's Football, it's Gladbach versus St. Pauli. On That's Football, make sure you are there. Bundesliga is back. Tomorrow on That's Football, it's Chelsea versus Newcastle and Arsenal versus Everton. 5:30 kickoff. Two brilliant games on That's Football for watch-alongs with Goldbridge. And West Ham versus City kick-off at 8 p.m. tomorrow as well. Oh, it's a close one with Lisandro Martínez. 57% cash in, 43% new deal. I know that will have been hard for a lot of people. It will have been difficult because everyone loves Leacher. They love his personality. He's the butcher. But sometimes you just got to be ruthless. And to be honest with you, if he can't stay fit, I'd be going down that same route. I would be cashing in and looking for someone who can stay fit. We need a starting left centre-back who is available week in, week out. That's what we need. You look at the likes of the Gabriels. You look at a Gabriel and that's what we should be aiming for. And Martinez is of massive quality and I think he could get to a really top level, but he just can't stay fit enough for Manchester United to be able to do that. And that's what he's got to show, that he can stay fit. If when we're making a decision about Martinez, we've got to be logical. And he's someone who is a starter. You can't have a starter that's just never available. So I would probably lean towards more of the cash in as well, as much as it would pain me to say it. Look, thank you everyone for watching. Smash a like on the video if you've not already. Malick says, what about Shaw? Martinez before Shaw, what a joke. If there was an option to be able to, you know, move Shaw on, if he can't stay fit, I would take that as well. Players that are good players but can't stay fit, unfortunately, you do have to try and move them on because we need fit players ready and available to play. But look, thank you for watching. Happy Friday. Carrick will be speaking in his press conference, giving us all of the latest updates at 1:30 p.m. So we'll be live on the United Stand for a press conference reaction coming up later on today. Stay tuned for that. Thank you everyone for watching. Smash a like on the video. God, there was loads to get into there. And I will see you on the next one.